Well, I guess the answer to that is kind of a typical answer you get from most professional musicians. My parents, my mom's a musician, and my parents are deeply involved with music, so it was all around me as I grew up, and there really was never anything else I wanted to do. As far as mentors go, I would say probably my youth orchestra conductor, because he picked a lot of great repertoire, and that really turned me on. And I bought my first score when I was 15, and I brought it home. And then I think, as far as conducting mentors go, probably at first it was the Piemonte School, Michael Jimbo and Charles Brook. They were the first to give me a shot to really mentor me about what it means to really conduct and be on the podium and know your stuff before you get up there. It's really important to make time for hobbies and diversions, no matter what you do and how busy you are. Not just for conductors, but anyone. For me, finding time to exercise has always been a challenge. So I enjoy getting out there and playing ultimate frisbee. I take long walks, miles, hour-long walks. I enjoy baseball and football on TV as a diversion, just for fun. And I like trying different restaurants that I haven't been to, different cuisines, stuff like that. Yeah, most of my travel is music related. I can't actually remember the last time I took a trip that was just for myself. Yeah, it's either music related or family related. I think probably the most interesting thing that happened to me was during my trip to Ecuador. We played, on the second half of the concert, we played Brahms' First Symphony. And when I walked out to conduct, the audience was kind of chattering and talking, and turned around to start, and they were still chattering, and it wasn't quiet. And the people just said, "Go ahead, just start." So I started, and they didn't stop talking the entire time. The audience was just kind of sitting there. The music was in the background. They were just talking. There were kids selling candy with these little vendor type things around their necks, walking around selling popcorn and candy. And when the piece is about 45 or 50 minutes long, and when it ended, there was clapping for about 10 seconds. I barely had enough time to get off the stage. I don't think it was that bad of a performance, but then that really wasn't the reason. I came back on stage to do the encore, which was a national hymn, Ecuadorian national hymn. And when I played that, 1 minute long piece, they clapped for 10 minutes. So it was interesting. Yeah, programming concerts, it's a challenge. It's one of my favorite challenges out there. Not just thinking about one concert, but an entire season and what type of season it is. When I knew I was going to be working here at UW, of course I looked to see what the orchestra had done in the past, and looked to see what was required to be on the program, such as working with Stephen Stubbs this year, with the co-production with Pacific Music Works of Handel's Semele in May. So that will be a side-by-side with some of the string players at the UW School of Music. So with that in mind, I tried to build a season that was as balanced as possible, with lots of different styles, soloists from all over different places, including some local soloists. So a good first concert would be the Beethoven 7th Symphony, which just so happens was performed for the first time 200 years ago this fall. And I've always loved the music of Hindemith, and it's a Hindemith year also. He passed away 50 years ago this year. And so I looked for a piece that would fit well with the Beethoven, and actually found a piece that was written 75 years ago that I think is one of his best pieces. So, and then to fit a concerto on there, I knew I wanted to work with Dave Gordon of the Seattle Symphony. He's also on faculty here, and I think the Arutuinian trumpet concerto is a really nice. It goes really well with Hindemith because they're totally different. They're not that far off in terms of when they were written, but they have completely different feeling. So sort of they balance out each other really well. So that's the anatomy of the program. And I think every program has to be kind of an event rather than just a concert program. So that's what I tried to do this year, and it's really what I try to do wherever I go. Yeah, it's kind of becoming the typical answer to say, yeah, my favorite piece is the piece I'm doing right now. There's some truth to that, but really, I think it is possible to have a favorite composer or a favorite piece. That's going to change from time to time for certain people, but as I learn more music and have different perspectives, there are certain pieces that sort of stay towards the top of my list of favorite pieces. Probably the most favorite piece I have is the Schumann Paradise in the Peri, which is an oratorio that was performed very often during Schumann's lifetime, but is hardly ever played anymore. That's not the reason why I like it so much. I just find it a terrific piece from beginning to end. And I hope I get to do it sometime soon. Another piece, probably Richard Strauss's Death and Transfiguration. It's really one of the pieces that turned me on to music to begin with. And I think it never gets old to me. It's always refreshing and new and interesting, and therefore it sort of remains at the top of my list. But if I mentioned those two, there are probably 50 or 100 others that are right up next to them. So yeah, that's how I feel about favorite pieces. Some people give advice, if you're unsure, don't do it. But I don't think that doesn't work in every situation. If you know that there's this concert happening, you're unsure about going, I don't think it's because you're afraid. It's just because you want to do something with your time that's valuable. And if you've ever attended a concert before, you pretty much know that whatever you put in, you're going to get out. So you go to a concert or a museum or some kind of artistic event, you get out of it what you put into it. If you're willing to listen, then don't be unsure. Just come and take it in. And there's something for everyone, really. Nothing is the same as a live performance. So come and hear us. Don't be unsure. I have a few things to do outside of the UW Orchestra this year. Probably the most interesting one is a couple of concerts with a period instrument group which plays music from the time of Mozart to Brahms. It's called Grand Harmony. They're based in Boston, and they play the concerts in Boston and in New York. We'll be doing, for the Shakespeare anniversary 2014, we'll be doing the complete, or close to the complete, Midsummer Night's Dream of Mendelssohn, and a couple of other works in relation to that. And that's in May in Boston and New York. And I also have a relationship with a chamber orchestra in Germany, the Kammerphilharmonie Berlin Brandenburg, and Next year, 2014, is also Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach year, so we'll be doing some concerts in the at the beginning of the summer and into the fall, featuring some of the symphonies by C.P.E. Bach and piano concerti also of C.P.E. Bach.